VOA reaches 51 million adults every week across Africa. We do news, features, analysis, talk, and social media outreach. But exactly how do we cover the news? Well, this is how we do it.
How we cover these top stories, for example, the story on Boko Haram, is first of all by preparation. You have to try to minimize your exposure because you never know who is Boko Haram. You feel the danger all the time. When I was in Maiduguri, the heartland of Boko Haram, every day I have to change where I sleep because of the fear. Just blend into the society. Nobody knows you are from the Voice of America. But it is very dangerous, it is very tough, but if you prepare well, you always get your story. The satisfaction of getting those stories to the people who really need those stories is much more satisfying than the danger involved.
We get interviews with people that matter as a result of getting to know the story and getting to know the story behind the story and getting to know views and opinions of people in the street. Once you have all these encapsulated into one, you then draw the plan of getting to know these individuals who make the news. Mr. President, thanks for, you have to establish a long-term rapport with some of these newsmakers.
It's also about creating jobs.
I got to know some rebel leaders in the Democratic Republic of Congo and got to get their personal cell phone number so I can reach them at any time if something happens. Sometimes they might not be able to answer the phone, but I will get to a maid and say, hey, I need your boss. Tell him or her to answer the phone, and sometimes I'm able to get through. To challenge them, you have to know what they have said previously, and you have to know the story very well. Once they get to know you, once they trust you, then they give you the information you need to work with. So that's how you get those elusive ones.
Covering a health story, very often I start by looking at the breaking news. It's good to have local contacts that will keep you up to date with what's going on. The Voice of America was very much on top of the coverage of the Ebola crisis. We spoke to colleagues, we spoke to experts, and I talked about Ebola on my show before Ebola was all over the news.
Now, preventing diseases is very critical in older people, as the report mentioned. Tell us about...
We keep our program very interactive. We open the communication with our viewers through Facebook, Twitter, emails. They send us their questions. You have to listen to the viewers. You have to listen to what your audience is telling you.
Young people are saying, you know what, we've had enough. We are tired of watching these negative stories about Africa. We need to change our narrative. So this is how we come in. We like to do stories that are positive. We like to do stories that resonate with our audience. Most of our audience is African. So most people that I've talked to, at least, they don't like to see negative stories. So one thing that we decided as a service is to look out for positive stories. This young man called Mixon Falwaki, he started following me up on Facebook and Twitter. We started talking a little bit. He told me, you need to come to Malawi and see my innovation. When I got there, I was amazed by what I was able to see. This kid has had this incredible idea. He decided to create something that I would say is going to change the way Malawians use technology. What drives me really is the passion, the ability to tell stories, unique stories from all parts of Africa.
Sometimes you have to use the word of mouth. Sometimes you have to go through someone that you know. You can put a word there and say, hey, do you know someone who is trustworthy? It's about speed. Being on top of every story, making sure that you get in touch with the focal point person on the ground in our bureau in Juba. You want to see their work and you want to get in touch with them and ask them if they want to work for the Voice of America. If you want them to do the job according to the standards of Voice of America, you've got to invest a lot of money in training them. And we do it every year. In a year, we do like 2 to 3 times training. On-the-job training is our secret.
Use social media to reach your audiences by basically being very active on Facebook and Twitter. And over the years, the number of fans have doubled, have tripled. 3 years ago, when we started, our Facebook page had 30,000 people. Now we're about over 198,000 fans. We're using that platform any way we can to get the message out. Let's begin with a comment from Sharmak Hassan from Arusha in Tanzania, who writes, "We expect the general election to be free and fair. It's time." Straight Talk is a weekly program, so what we do is we have a question of the week. We blast it out there, and all of a sudden you can get like 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 answers in like maybe 10 minutes. That's to our question of the week, asking, what more can Africa and the international community do? You can always tell with how many likes, how important or how popular a topic is. We can have a show on Nigeria, and people are tweeting during the show. They responded to the question of the week, during the week on Facebook. But even after the show, they continue to tweet and retweet some of the comments or some of the things that happened on the show. So that way, we usually can tell.
So at VOA, that's how we do it.